Wild dogs and lions have despised one another since their inception probably, but they're forced to exist in the same location, which puts them in a lot of awkward situations whenever they run into each other. A lot of very bloody awkward situations, which is exactly what we're about to see today. After it snuck up on a pack of wild dogs like a total ninja, this male snagged one of them before they knew what hit him. The lion bit tight around the wild dog's neck, choking the life out of it. The dog was thrashing around, trying its best to break free, but it was no use. You could see it twitching and jerking, gasping for air as it slowly kicked the bucket. The wild dog's buddies were right there watching the whole thing go down, but did they lift a paw to help? Nope. They were too chicken to get anywhere near that lion. Can't really blame him though, that cat was seriously scary. So the lion just kept on squeezing, taking its sweet time. The wild dog's brothers just stood there, frozen as their pal bit the dust. Brutal, sure, but still way quicker than how wild dogs usually off their prey. Here we have a lioness that walked up to a little watering hole thinking it would grab a quick drink. The place was crawling with wild dogs, but the lioness figured they'd be too scared of it to do anything. But man, was it in for a surprise. The dogs were not playing around. They started harassing the lioness and getting all up in its face. The big cat got fed up and grabbed one and bit it, probably thinking that would teach him a lesson. Bad move though. The whole pack went nuts. They came at the lioness from all sides, nipping and snarling. The poor cat was spinning in circles, trying to keep up, but there were just too many of them. Every time it turned to face one attacker, another dog would jump it from behind. It was roaring and swatting, but it was fighting a losing battle. The dogs found their courage in numbers, and they weren't going to back down. Two wild dogs were on a mission here. They were moving their whole crew of little pups to a new spot. The little ones were trotting along behind, trying to keep up with their parents. But then, out of nowhere, the adult dogs just took off. They probably smelled trouble coming, like a couple of lions or something. The pups scattered, most of them making it to safety, but one little guy wasn't so lucky. Two young male lions showed up and nabbed the straggler. They were kinda clueless about what to do with it at first, just cubs themselves, really. But then they dragged the poor pup into the tall grass where nobody could see what went down. Did they off the little guy, break its back and leave it? Who knows? A crafty lioness snuck up on a bunch of wild dogs and snagged one of them. The lioness had the dog pinned down, squeezing the life out of it with its powerful jaws. But the rest of the pack wasn't about to let their buddy go down without a fight this time. They were running around like crazy, yapping and nipping at the lioness, trying to get it to let go. For some reason, the lioness decided to ease up. Or maybe it got greedy and wanted to try for another one. Either way, it loosened its grip. Here's the kicker. That dog wasn't as dead as the lioness thought, and the second that it felt those jaws relax, it sprang up and booked it out of there. The lioness looked totally blindsided. It was like, hey, wait a minute, and took off after the dog. While strolling down the road, this hyena ran smack into a whole gang of wild dogs. The hyena hit the brakes real quick, and it just stood there sizing up the situation, trying to figure out if it should turn around or go all tough guy and start a fight. But before it could make up its mind, things got even crazier. Out of nowhere, a pride of lions showed up. The lions didn't waste any time. They came charging in, roaring and carrying on. The wild dogs took off faster than you could bark, and that hyena, it didn't stick around to chat either. The whole place turned into total chaos. Animals running every which way, dust flying everywhere. It was like nature's version of a 5-alarm fire drill. So this massive lion had just scored itself a snack, a little wild dog pup. The big cat had already done the deed, and there it was, ready for a meal. But then, two other lions showed up, and they wanted to join the small feast. The first lion was like, you know what? Not worth the hassle, and it bailed. The newcomers didn't waste any time. and they immediately started fighting over the dead pup's corpse. It was like watching two kids fight over the last cookie, except, with giant deadly cats and a poor little pup in the middle. Nature, huh? It's a real dog-eat-dog world out there. Or, in this case, lion-eat-dog. While hanging out with its little cub, this lioness suddenly found itself in the middle of a wild dog gang. The big cat was freaking out, trying to keep its baby safe. The wild dogs were circling like a bunch of sharks, and the lioness knew it had to do something fast. It pulled a crazy move. Instead of running, it decided to take on the whole pack by itself. It was like, "Come at me, bros!" And boy, did they ever. The fight that broke out was intense, and the dogs were all over the lioness, biting and snapping. Out of nowhere, the lioness decided to let go. Maybe it figured it had made its point, and the wild dogs were probably thinking, "Whoa, this cat's nuts," and they decided they'd had enough and left it alone. These wild dogs had just scored a sweet meal and were all set to have dinner. They were probably feeling pretty good about themselves, like they were the kings of the jungle or something. But then a huge male lion decided to remind them of their place. You'd think the lion would come charging in all roars and claws, right? But it didn't. It simply walked up to the kill like it had just woken up and the dogs had made it breakfast. The second the dogs spotted that lion, it was like someone had set off a doggy panic alarm. They scattered faster than you could say dinner's canceled. It was a total doggone situation. The lion didn't even break a sweat. It just moseyed up onto the kill and started munching away. Talk about a power move. Those wild dogs must have been kicking themselves all the way home. Check this one out. This pride of lions had just bagged themselves a wildebeest, and the big boss male was feasting while the others were sitting around waiting for their turn. But as they were doing that, two wild dogs came tearing through, hot on the heels of an impala. Such bad timing. The dogs were so focused on their chase, they didn't even notice they'd run right into lion territory. The lions didn't miss a beat, and before you could blink, they were all over one of those dogs. They were like, bam, gotcha. The poor dog didn't stand a chance, of course, and in less than 5 seconds, it was game over for the dog. That impala just kept on running though, probably thinking it had won the lottery, and the lions couldn't care less about it. They were all about teaching those wild dogs a lesson. It's amazing how good animals can be at acting sometimes. There was a lioness that had just taken down a wild dog and was walking around with it dangling from its jaws here. It was all proud of itself, but here's where things got crazy. Another wild dog showed up and started yapping and circling around, trying to get a rise out of the big cat. And wouldn't you know it, the trick worked like a charm. The lioness got all riled up and dropped the supposedly dead dog and took off after the troublemaker. But that first dog, it wasn't dead at all. It had been playing possum the whole time. The second it hit the ground, it sprang back to life and booked it out of there. The cunning predator pulled off the ultimate con job and lived to tell the tale. In a truly crazy coincidence, a whole pride of lions stumbled across a big group of wild dogs. But the dogs had no clue the lions were there. The big cats saw this golden opportunity and were like, "Let's kill all of them." They crouched down and got ready to attack, and it was about to be an all-you-can-kill wild dog buffet. When the lions finally sprung their trap, all hell broke loose. The wild dogs freaked and took off, running for their lives. The lions were hot on their heels, chasing them down like they were missiles. Most of the dogs managed to get away, but the lions did capture and kill at least one of them. What a horrible life it is being an enemy to lions. There was this gang of wild dogs that must have been feeling extra brave here. Or extra stupid. They decided to pick a fight with a big male lion, and these mutts were chasing after the big cat trying to scare it. But here's the funny part. Every time the lion turned around to face him, they'd chicken out and scatter like leaves in the wind. The lion faked a charge and they couldn't run fast enough. But as soon as the male turned its back, they'd come creeping back, talking smack from a safe distance. This back and forth went on for a while until the lion finally got fed up and ducked into some bushes. That was it for the wild dogs, as they weren't about to follow it in there, no sir. They knew better than to risk getting ambushed, so they called it quits and bailed. Guess they weren't so tough after all. Did you enjoy this video? Please let us know in the comments section down below. And don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe to the channel while you're at it. And please, turn on your notifications bell to get notified when we upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.